welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And this is episode 18, and today we're talking about our favorite topic, Twilight, and we have special guests today. We are joined by Andrew Sims and Pamela Gogabachi of my favorite podcast, #Millennial.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and when you search it, if it doesn't come up, Pretend Adulting Real Talk comes up real quick. So just pop that in.
What a good hack.
Slogan.
What a good hack.
Because my mom could not find it. I was like, Mom, plug in this
Really?
That's how we know you're a real fan, because I didn't even know that.
Does she not know how to spell millennial? Maybe is that the problem? Because it's like two L's and two N's.
Unless I was doing it wrong too, because then I tested it. I was going to tell y'all. I was like, it's not coming up when I type in millennial. So this is
what?
Yeah, unless
I'm
outraged.
Wrong. We're being shadow banned, I think.
I know. So real Pretend Adulting Real Talk pops up. Search them, follow the podcast. It's fantastic.
Andrew's like searching this right now.
I
am fuming.
I'm just really upset that you have to search for our tagline instead of our show title to find the show. That's not right.
I know. I was going to let y'all know. I forgot until this moment.
I'm penning a letter to Tim Cook now to voice my concern.
Pam and Andrew are podcast OGs. They've been doing this in this space for a really long time. I've been listening. Like, if you don't know, Andrew does MuggleCast, and Andrew and Pam did Imprint, if y'all were listening to Twilight podcasts back in the day, and they're all fabulous. I was religiously listening to Imprint.
Yes.
I remember making a very embarrassing, probably now I haven't watched it in 10 years, video where like I did In Defense of Twilight, and I was like, I listened to a podcast where the panel talks intelligently about Twilight for an hour every week. So anyway, they've been here for a long time. They make great podcast content, so check it out. Introduce yourselves.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Pam, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Pam, and I am a host on Imprint, like Christine very kindly just rolled out the red carpet for us over here. And then I also work as a full-time freelance entertainment journalist, which is just a really fancy way to say that I talk about pop culture for a living, and I do that on Millennial as well. So we cover that in addition to an array of other topics. And like Christine also said, we've been doing this for a while, so our show is really just, a group of lifelong friends chatting about everything from news to pop culture.
Yeah, and I'm Andrew. Like Pam said, you also did a great job introing us. And in addition to the podcasts, I'm also a podcast editor. I've been doing some consulting, spoke with you two about getting this podcast started, which was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were noobs, and Andrew taught us everything, so we're very grateful.
I was very happy to help. And so I do podcasts, I edit podcasts. I'm just in the world of podcasting.
Yay, thank you. We're so excited to have you guys here today. It should be fun. So we're going to be chatting about Pam and Andrew's experience in the Twilight world from their perspective, where they were like very in it in the news entertainment coverage section of the Twilight land when the movies were coming out. And we're going to be arguing for which scene is the best scene in all of the Twilight series. So that should be fun as well, in the books, not the movies. So
that was very hard.
Specific.
It was, yeah.
I was like trying to separate what I see in the movies and then trying to remember how I first read it.
But it's fun to remember back to
it
the
is
books, because you don't think about them as much anymore.
No.
So before we get into that discussion, we're going to roll into Snap Crackle pop culture news. And first on the dock today for me is that Taylor Swift's Eras Tour is starting in like a week.
I can't believe it. Did you see on TikTok that some girl was like recording outside of the Arizona amphitheater, and they could hear her like checking
Practicing?
when she was singing Anti-Hero.
Okay.
I was going to ask about
Christine,
this.
that's a single. You have to know that she's going to sing that.
Christine doesn't like any spoilers. Let's just put that out there.
Man.
This was going to be my question to y'all. Are you going to go into the shows that you attend blind, or are you going to look at the set list in advance?
Blind.
There is no way that I'm going to be able to get away with going in blind by the sheer nature of my job. Okay.
Oh.
I'm obviously going to go in blind.
I'm going to try really hard because I feel like TikTok is just going to start just feeding that to me.
I just swipe really quick on everything Taylor Swift now.
That's fair. But if you're going in less than 10 days, like that's the first show, isn't it?
I'm going to the second show.
Okay. So you only have to hold out like 24 hours, right? Okay.
I'm so excited because for Reputation, Natasha and I went to one of the last shows. And we're going to one of the last shows too in LA, but this time I have a friend in Vegas and she wanted to go, and we were going to drive down to the Arizona show, and I was so relieved because it was so hard to avoid spoilers even with my hardcore lockdown avoiding spoilers tendencies. So for the Reputation tour I was talking about, but I am trying to lock down what I'm going to wear for the first show because Natasha and I have already kind of planned what we're going to wear for the last show.
I'm making all of the outfits. So.
Oh wow, that's so fun.
Yes. But we're doing eras for that show, but I think I'm going to do a song for this first show.
That's so fun.
Yeah. Pam,
Andrew, are you a Taylor Swift person?
I enjoy the music. Am I going to go to the concert? No. And I love the fandom. I think and not because I have anything wrong with any issues with Taylor Swift. It's just not one of my priorities personally.
So, okay, Pam, I was going to ask you, do you have, I feel like I saw you tweet about choosing outfits. Are you doing eras when you go?
We are, yes. So I'm going with like 6, we bought 6 tickets total. So there's 6 of us going, and we are all doing different eras, and I've been partially DIYing my outfit for months now. It's taking way longer than I thought. But I'm not like fully making costumes or anything. I just kind of started with a dress I was already going to toss, and I'm working from there. So it's been really fun, but definitely like I thought it was going to go a lot faster than it is.
Intensive.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a secret. I'm just gluing a bunch of sequins on. So it's my take on Bejeweled. But
oh,
nice.
That'll be fun.
Natasha, you want to move to the next thing?
Yeah, so this was announced a little over a week ago, but the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard is becoming a TV show, which was just announced, and Elizabeth Banks is bringing it to Peacock, and right now they're in the script phase. I'm very excited. I have a feeling Victoria has been working on this for like years, and then Elizabeth Banks just casually talked about it in an interview.
Yes,
she's
that's
like,
what happened.
whoa. This news is out now. So that's very exciting, and I'm very happy for her. We forgot to mention we were on Millennials last episode, which was their episode 8 of season 9. Right? Is that how? Okay. And we talked about romance books. So if you guys want to have an extra episode to listen to, you should go over there and...
Yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for sharing it. We had a lot of fun talking about it. It was a fun recording.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Josh says it's Hunger Games meets Game of Thrones is what I think of, which is similar to like Red Rising, if that's how it meets X-Men. Yes.
Well, I heard that if you read Red Rising, it's not as fun to read Red Queen because they have very similar
I mean, beats. I read both, and Red Queen is very female, like it's from the female perspective, and Red Rising is very male. So I just think it comes up to preference, and one's YA, one's not.
It's probably one of those things. Also, just don't read them back to back. Do it.
No,
separate them. All right, Pam has some news. What have you got?
I do. I brought some music news because that's just kind of my thing. And I don't know if any Ed Sheeran fans listen to your show, but I thought it was really interesting that last week Ed Sheeran announced that he's working with Aaron Dessner for his last mathematical album, Subtract. And for anyone that doesn't know, Aaron Dessner is also responsible for the Folklore and Evermore sound that Taylor Swift came up with. And they did work together on a bonus track that they put out for one of those albums as well. So that's really fun. I enjoy Ed Sheeran's music. Was not the biggest fan of Divide, but it sounds like he's really coming at this new album from a good place. And I really appreciated, just as like a general lover of music, what Aaron Dessner was able to do for Taylor Swift in terms of helping her work on a different sound and show us a different version of herself. And so I really hope that he's able to do that for Ed Sheeran. So
I'm so excited for this. I didn't realize this was happening. I love Aaron Dessner and everything he does with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, he also, I mean, he's also in the National too. So if you're into more like indie rock and stuff, I would highly recommend checking out the National too, because he just makes great music.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Andrew.
Yeah, I'll throw in something really quick.
Yeah, I was like, what's Toulouse?
Toulouse.
The
So I
Last
love
of Us.
Toulouse. Yes, yes. So The Last of Us is the video game to TV adaptation airing on HBO now. The penultimate episode aired on Sunday, March 5th, and it was very, very good. The whole season's been really good. I didn't even play the video game, and I've been really into the show. It seems like it's resonating with people, whether or not they've played video games. I would also tell people, it's kind of a zombie show, but it doesn't feel like The Walking Dead. It feels so much better. I was burnt out on The Walking Dead by like the end of season 5 or 6.
Yep.
And so I was very, I was optimistic, but I wasn't excited about The Last of Us. But now at this point, I'm really into it, and I'm glad I watched it all the way through. Natasha, it sounds like you're into it too?
Oh, yes. Yeah. My
Awesome.
brother played the video game and I watched. So it was like the only video game I actually sat through and watched his gameplay. So both games. I'm very invested. And we
Cool.
love Daddy Pedro. I'm the only one who loves
We
to
do.
say that. So
I'll say it too. He's a
He's,
daddy.
he's the internet's daddy, so it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Daddy's a state of mind.
He's been having quite...
I am quoting Pedro. Christine does not know anything about this. He
Oh my
says this
goodness.
in his
He says that?
in his lie detector test.
You know, when Pedro says that, I believe him. Like, it's just like, yeah, it
Yes.
sounds legit.
Yeah. Oh my. No. In this last episode, which is so daddy, I was just like, ugh, like heart. Ugh. Oh, and then Mando. He's in Mando. Oh gosh. And
Well, yeah.
Grogu.
I wanted to say he's been having like a 5-year moment. He's got the Mandalorian. He's got this now. He was in one of those Narcos shows on Netflix. Like, he is such a hot actor, and deservedly so. I mean, literally and figuratively, like, he's hot. Like, he's just, wow, mega daddy right now. Mega
I mean,
daddy.
like, even in his short
like
stint
Alec
on
in
Game of Thrones.
Thrones.
Yeah, I was gonna
yes.
say.
That was his big breakout.
The big head squishing moment.
I'm just really happy for him and his freaking talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a very good actor, but Daddy.
I think so. But yeah, definitely check it out if you've been even a little interested. It's worth your time.
Nicole says he was on Buffy too.
Yes,
What?
he was.
I just
That's
found
way
out
back.
about that. I had, like, it just didn't click for me. Little baby on Buffy.
Oh,
He looks so different young. I much prefer him as older Pedro.
As a daddy.
Yeah, as a daddy. Christine cringing every time. I'm so glad, Andrew, you're on my daddy team.
Absolutely.
I think you need a daddy
100%.
count for the episode.
Yes.
We're already up to like 100.
Okay. Well, before we move on to our main discussion, I want to give a quick thank you to everyone listening to the show right now. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. And if you haven't yet, please follow the show on your favorite podcast app for free. Go to the YouTube channel if you want to watch the visual version, youtube.com/@thoseworkingfangirls. Hit the subscribe button there. Give the video a like if you're enjoying it. Leave us a comment. We love your feedback. And if you want to support the show in an even bigger way, we have a Patreon with lots of fun perks. The link is in the show notes. All right. So today we are speaking Twilight, talking about lots of stuff that happened 10 years ago. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So both of you were a huge part of that tornado, and it all happened so fast. I wanted to ask you what it was like being in the midst of it for y'all in the day-to-day when you were making Imprint and updating Twilight Source and all that jazz, because I know for me it was like my day started and ended with Twilight. It was just like, and I was just like a person in college.
an everyday fan of Twilight. Yeah, so for me, you mentioned MuggleCast at the top of the episode. I had come from the Harry Potter fandom, and I started hearing about Twilight, and it was clearly picking up pace. And after having been in the Harry Potter fandom and so involved in the Harry Potter fandom, because I also did MuggleNet, the Harry Potter fan site, for several years, hearing that Twilight was coming up, I was like, oh, I should look into this more, because I just wanted to do something different besides Harry Potter all the time. So I approached Twilight as like this fresh new fandom to enjoy. And what I found was, you used the word tornado. I think that was a very good way to describe it. A very passionate fan base surrounding Twilight. Every little, like, I thought Harry Potter was passionate, but Twilight was, wow. I just, one memory that still sits with me is like going to some Twilight event. I think it was in like the San Diego area. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I remember a couple Twilight fans, and this was peak fandom, brought these Bella and Edward Barbie dolls up to the front of the stage where speakers would be presenting. It wasn't Comic-Con, it was something else. And they put the Barbie dolls up on stage and like took a picture. Then suddenly all these other Twilight fans rushed the stage to take the same picture of some fans' Barbie dolls. Like, everybody just wanted in on every little aspect of Twilight. And so, yeah, it was such a passionate, intense fandom. And for me, it was also largely about like how refreshing it was to celebrate something else besides Harry Potter every day.
Such a great time.
What about you, Pam? How did you find yourself there?
Well, I mean, like, in terms of like discovering Twilight, the series, that happened before, Twilight Source was a thing. And I think, like, honestly, I might have read the first two books when MTV still had the rights for the movies. I don't know if y'all remember that. Yeah, so for a long time.
The soccer
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was soccer or track star Bella.
But it was track.
Yeah.
It was track star.
One of the two, but she was definitely going to be like, sporty.
Athletic.
Yeah. So for a long time, Twilight was this thing that like I couldn't find anybody to talk about it with. And it was basically just me forcing all of my friends to read these books and like loaning out my copies until I had to buy new copies because paperbacks don't really hold up very well. And the moment that I knew or I realized that it was going to be this big thing, like bigger than I thought, was I don't know if y'all remember the mall tours.
Oh yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm from San Francisco, and you might recall that they tried to do an event with Rob Pattinson right after he was cast at Hot Topic. Hot Topic was like big for Twilight fans, and they actually had to cancel that because there was a stampede of fangirls outside that mall.
Gosh.
And
I remember
was
this.
there, but not in the stampede. I was like in the back because we thought, like, me and my friends thought that it was just going to be like, nobody's going to go to this. Like, nobody knows about this.
So it got
book.
canceled?
It was crazy. Like, you can still look up news footage about this. Like, they deemed it too dangerous. And they said they were going to cancel, and then I guess, like, they must have felt bad, so they ended up letting him sign for a little bit, but, like, way later than they thought they were going to. But it was just, like, a big old mess. I don't even think, like, they realized how many people were going to show up to this, but it was crazy. And so, yeah, so that's kind of, like, the moment I realized, like, the sheer power of the fandom. And then as far as, like, the fan site and the podcast stuff goes, I mean, like Andrew said, it really does feel like, like a whirlwind tornado. But to your point, I think that like our days consisted of like the same thing, just like eating and breathing Twilight, but we were just, posting about it and like creating discussions around it. So
yeah, there was a new interview every morning. Every morning I was like, what new Rob thing can I watch today?
And then we had Twilight Tuesdays. Like, we were being well fed.
Oh, yeah, on MTV or through the MTV website.
Yeah, that guy. It was the same guy.
Yeah, Josh Horowitz.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. He was smart. He built an audience with that. Also, Stephanie Meyer's official site was pretty good in terms of like the exclusives she would reveal. And I think she did a bit of blogging. Of course, that's where she released the first couple chapters of Midnight Sun. It was. I still also remember being
12.
very excited by visiting her site. 12 chapters.
Yeah. She also like... You could tell she was a fan herself too. Like I was obsessed with her playlist. Like that was the first time I'd ever seen an author put up playlists for her own stories. And I thought, as somebody who's like really passionate about music, I thought that was so cool. I had them all like burned onto CDs. And then like, I'm also like really big fan of the OC, and Alexandra Pastavas, who did the music for the OC, also did the music for Twilight. So it was really cool to see how like she brought the sound of that movie to life, and then also how she incorporated like some of Stephanie's own music taste into the soundtrack. But yeah, like she would do like fan casting, and it was like, I mean, she was doing that all on her own, but in the end it really kind of became a breeding ground for like a really passionate fan base, probably because she was so into her own stories too.
Yeah. And I remember her casting Bella as that girl from A Series of Unfortunate Events, right?
Emily Browning.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they put her in the host at the very end.
They did?
Yeah, at the very end. I think she became Wanda at the end.
Emily Browning.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, and she also wanted Henry Cavill, and that story gets brought up like every 6 months. Me being like the #1 Henry Cavill fan, I'm like, all my friends will send it to me. I'm like, I've already talked about this. We all know he was meant to, or wanted, Stephanie wanted him to play Edward.
I didn't know that.
What? Come on,
No.
Andrew. I'm pretty sure that was on Hypeable. Someone put that up on there.
Okay, I don't know. There's
and,
been
and
a lot
then
of
it came
news.
out. Then it came out that she wanted him to play Carlisle, right? And there was a scheduling conflict.
Who?
Wow.
Wait,
They
who
wanted-
would play Carlisle?
They were toying around with the idea of having Henry Cavill play Carlisle because he aged out of Edward. And I also know this because, like Natasha, I too am a #1 Henry Cavill stan. And I've been following that man's career since like before he lost Superman the first time.
Since the Tudors.
Oh, yeah.
No,
the
wait,
Tudors.
no.
I
Count
Capture
of
the
Monte
Couchel.
Cristo.
That's a good one too. But yeah, so like they really wanted to try and put him in there. And if there had ever been a time for him to, get into the Twilight franchise, it probably would have been when he was the most unlucky man in Hollywood.
Wait. What do you mean? What do you mean the most unlucky man?
What era is this?
Because they wanted him, like he was cast to
James
play
Bond.
Superman. Like when they were doing it the first time with Brandon Routh, and then they decided to go with Brandon Routh because he looked more like Christopher Reeve. Natasha knows she's my girl. Yeah. It's so like for a long time, he was just like, he just couldn't catch a break because, he just kept losing out on all these really big roles. And
then he did.
And then he
catch
did.
all
And
the
now
breaks.
he's Henry Cavill. So
But now he's kind of getting back on his unlucky.
he is.
Yeah.
choosing now.
He is.
He's making his own decisions.
Well,
to
because they
not
also
be
were
big.
they were also in talks with him for James Bond back when like Daniel Craig, and he was too young. So.
Right. See? Unlucky.
Just can't hit the right age, this man.
Pretty much.
Let's get back to Twilight.
Pam and I
right,
should just have a whole
so-
Henry Cavill episode. Just saying.
You
Please,
guys start
I would-
Emily.
I would
Henry
love to
Cavill
do that with
discussion.
you.
Sidebar. So it looks like, did none of y'all ever have any weird experiences meeting any of the cast? Like Natasha had so many.
So because of Twilight Source, I did go to the premieres.
What was that like being on that side of the carpet? Because I was always in the bleachers, And I always thought you guys were
Oh
like
my
the
gosh,
coolest.
you were Taylor Swift in You Belong With Me.
Yep.
So red carpets tend to be chaotic no matter what movie it is, because the publicists are trying to usher the stars along and don't want them to have too much time with any one outlet, especially if it's like a smaller outlet. So yeah, I don't know if it was honestly anything different than, you might have better stories than I do because you were just like in the fan line. Like I assume people were camping out for long periods of time. Yeah, like for me, it was kind of easy, relatively speaking. Yeah, I don't have any crazy stories. It was funny, like seeing what celebrities would show up. Like the guy who played Urkel, he was there.
So random.
Yeah. I think like Lance Bass was at one of the premieres, or one of the members of NSYNC was.
See that.
Like a guitarist from Bon Jovi was there. I remember one year. Like it was all over the map. I think because a lot of people like had like daughters or friends who were Twilight fans,
that were interested.
They tagged along. Another story I just remembered, and this isn't related to the premieres or really meeting them, but at Comic-Con, speaking of like camping out, like me and my friends, we once camped out overnight for, it may have been one of the first couple panels at Comic-Con for Twilight, and that was probably one of the biggest lines I've seen there, at least at the time. But again, it just spoke to how committed Twilight fans were to, being able to see the stars live.
When we were in one of the years at Forks, they had a panel and they were talking about how Twilight started those big lines for Hall H that went overnight, which is
wow.
Yeah, they were the first ones. So that's kind of mind-boggling that it's so new.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that. Wow.
Yeah. So y'all did go on set, right? So can you tell us about that? Which movies?
Yeah. So only Twilight. And this was before Twilight Sorcerer imprint. Yeah. What happened was, I knew somebody, thanks to MuggleNet, who ran his own general movie site called darkhorizons.com. And actually the site is still around. His name is Garth. He's in Australia. He's awesome. He runs a site from Australia. And it's an Australian-based movie site. But he got an invite for Dark Horizons to go to the set of Twilight. And he knew that I had been reading the books at the time, I guess. We were talking at that time a bunch. And he was like, would you like to go? And at this point, I was in college in New Jersey. So he tells me, would you like to go? I say, heck yeah, I've heard good things. And we go out. They fly me out to the Portland area because that's where they were filming. And I wrote a set report. And actually, you can access it online if you want to read that. In preparing for today's episode of Forking Fangirls, I found the set report. It's from April 3rd, 2008.
Oh my gosh.
I went to the set in March 2008, meaning this is 15 years old this month.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got to interview the director, Catherine Hardwick. I spoke to the Cullen kids. They were filming at a high school.
The Cullen kids?
The Cullen kids.
It sounds so young.
They were filming at a high school. The real high school was actually on a spring break, so they used that time to film the movie. I did get to interview Rob. Couldn't interview Kristen. She was there, but she was also getting tutored in between scenes because of her age at the time.
Oh,
Producer Wick Godfrey got to speak to him, which I appreciated because it's interesting to talk to the producer about book to film adaptations and how they handle that and being loyal to the fans, stuff like that.
What do you remember about Rob before you move forward?
Very quiet, taking a long time to answer his questions, kind of mumbling. I still remember sitting in a closet with him. It wasn't just me and him.
Sounds like a creature.
It was just like
Gollum in a closet.
just shy and taking a long time to get to the point and trying to think through his answers. Again, reading through the set report is actually interesting because by the end of I quote him in the set report, of course, and he realizes how ridiculous the plot of Twilight is during the interview, which is funny because yeah, exactly. But I wonder if this is one of the very first records of them talking about how stupid the plot of Twilight can be. Because This was before the first movie came out, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. Now, I did link to this. You don't have to link to it in your show notes, but
This is
I got to
interesting.
pose with Bella's truck outside the school. And the second photo I took on the set of Kristen Stewart and Stephanie Meyer, who was also on set that day, talking to each other.
Oh
Now,
my gosh.
If they
So
caught
I
me
just
doing
opened the
this,
picture.
I would have been murdered on site. I don't know how I had the guts to actually take this photo, but I did. And I didn't post it online until 2018 when people were celebrating the 10th anniversary of Twilight. I figured at this point, you know, who's
Oh my gosh.
past the statute of limitations? Like,
Wait,
So, yeah.
which picture are you talking about?
the second one. And
How
that,
come I can't find this?
It's
click
like-
link, and then there's a next arrow.
Oh, there's a next there. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a carousel.
Yeah. Carousel post.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Stephanie and Kristen are talking. It's kind of a cool picture in hindsight because it's the author and the actress working together, presumably.
You were right there. She's wearing the shirt and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't recommend that. But one little aside story, and I actually kind of talk about this in the set report a little bit, is that even then, like, the fandom was really passionate. We went outside. This is when I took the picture of Bella's truck, or posed with Bella's truck. And there was a bunch of fans gathered, like, hoping to catch a glimpse of the stars. One of the fans waiting outside the set was wearing a MuggleCast shirt. The
Nice.
podcast that I did.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't know I was going to be there. It was a total coincidence. I turned to the publicist and I was like, hey, look, my podcast is a big deal, huh?
Oh
So-
my goodness.
One of the Twilight fans is wearing a
Did you
MuggleCast
go over
shirt.
and
It
say
was
hi?
Wild. Yeah, we spoke with the fans because
Oh,
we wanted
that's
to
really
see, like,
nice.
you know, who are they there for? Why do you
Yeah.
love Twilight so much?
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was a crazy time. It was super cool. I treasure it for sure. And thanks to Garth for letting me go for his site. It was really fun.
Yeah, that just worked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so special.
Yeah, the first movie. It was
Yeah.
just like so many people didn't even know Twilight existed.
Yeah.
Abby says American
Really
history.
It
Yeah,
was
put
an
this
important
recording
part
in
of
the
American
Smithsonian.
history.
Pam, you covered some of the mall tours. Do you have any like special memories from that?
Yeah, so like, you know, the bigger stuff Andrew would take care of, as he should have, as, you know, the site owner and stuff like that. But every once in a while when there were local events, which there were a lot of because they would kind of do these mall tours like we were talking about, I'd get to go and do that. And that was really fun. I was studying journalism at the time, so I really cut my teeth with Twilight and doing fan site stuff. And for a while, Andrew would laugh at me when I would tell him this, but like for a really long time, one of the only things I had on my resume was Twilight source and imprint stuff, or like covering red carpets. Like Twilight was my first red carpet for one of these concert series that they did because music was a big part of the franchise as well.
I was
and
there.
You were?
Yep.
Love that.
Aw.
And yeah, so it was just like, it's so special to me to like look back on that because I don't think that I wouldn't have had like anything to kind of set me apart from other people applying for positions if I wasn't doing fandom stuff, just because I was really excited about it and passionate about it, and all of my friends were too. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same for me. Like right out of high school, all I was doing was working on Page to Premiere and doing like Divergent, Hunger Games, Mortal Instruments, like
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So
Yeah, it was always like, you know, like I was always interning too when I was in school, and you know, usually there's multiple interns, but they'd go, oh, we have this opportunity to do like, say, a red carpet, and then I would go, I have red carpet experience. Like they would always say like, oh, you have red carpet experience, and I said, yeah. What have you done red carpets for? Twilight. Oh wow, that's big. You get to go. You know.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like doing that it's just so unique. How many people at university can say they've done this already?
And like early
And-
on in my career, you know, like early on in my studies. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it opened doors for so many of us, because that's honestly what led me to YouTube, was like looking at all of the parodies for Twilight, specifically the Hillywood show one. And then I was like, I want to make stuff about Twilight, and I started my book channel because I was reading books because of Twilight. Like, it opened so many doors, and then like led to careers for so many.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all went on tour with Imprint. Do you have a favorite fandom memory? I was on the Imprint tour. I came to the Boston stop.
Boston? Nice. Boston! We go out, we yell the city name, the crowd roars. It's a whole thing. No, I mean, the Twilight set visit was definitely peak for me. The Comic-Cons were cool. Of course, we loved doing the podcast. Again, just not talking about Harry Potter was very refreshing, and the tour was so special because we're spending more time with each other, and it's a good bonding experience as friends. And of course, meeting the listeners is just an amazing experience, putting faces to names, or just meeting people and they tell you how much they enjoy the podcast. It feels really good because, like, you know, when we do these podcasts, like these days now, like we do have here, we have a chat where you can hear from people in real time. But back in 2008 to 2012, you don't get that real time feedback. Social media wasn't as hot, so being out on the road was a cool way to get real time feedback from listeners. So we treasure that so much, and we made Imprint t-shirts and we would sell them. These all happened at bookstores, Borders or Barnes and Noble. May Borders rest in peace. We tried to bring business to Borders. We tried to save them, but it wasn't enough. The Imprint tour couldn't do it. But yeah, it was a really cool experience, the tour. Just, again, from the friendship angle, it was very, very meaningful to us.
Yeah.
How did that
Yeah, that was the first time I think that we met too in person, or like I had met them in person, because before that it was just like all online.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did the tour happen? Like, did you guys just get together and start planning it, or were you approached?
Yeah, well, so we had actually done one or two for MuggleCast already. So we thought, well, Imprint is doing really well too, so why don't we do one for Imprint? It was just as simple as that. And it was all funded, by the way, by like Twilight Source advertising revenue and the t-shirt sales that we were selling at the stores. Yeah, I still remember coming up with a spreadsheet, you know, hotels, $800, flights, X amount. And yeah, we were able to pull it off. But then we had those contacts at Borders. So we said, hey, we'd like to do a Twilight one too. And of course they were like, oh, well, yeah, it'll help us sell Twilight books. So of course, come on in.
It was like Kickstarter before Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So cool. At the like peak of Imprint, like what was like the average listener? Like how many listens or downloads were you getting per episode? If you remember.
Oh, man, it's hard to remember. Yeah. I want to say like around 10,000 listeners per episode, maybe 15. It's hard to say. I can't just because I can't remember. And then at these events we'd probably have 50 to 80 people.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
Event. Yeah.
I remember something like being recorded on a Twilight DVD, and it was like a couple different podcasts. It was at a Borders. There
was like a
recall
panel.
this?
Yes. I remember this too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there were some.
What was that?
What other podcast was there?
It was in the Westwood Borders in LA, I want to say, and we had worked with the people there on multiple occasions to do events. It was for something. It was. I bet it was like a New Moon DVD release or something like that. I seem to remember it was timed with some sort of home entertainment release in the world of Twilight. And then because it was with Borders, but then also I guess they worked with Summit to maybe film it and promote it. Or you said it was on one of the Twilight?
It was on a DVD.
Clips. I think it was like a mashup. Was it the whole thing? I remember I listened to it like as an episode for whoever posted on their podcast.
We probably released it too.
Yeah. I was listening to the other people that were there too. You both were there, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
Yeah, that's a good call out. I think Borders probably organized that like official release with Summit or whoever. But yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
That's crazy. Like, I can't imagine nowadays, like, them putting a bunch of fans in a DVD, you know, to do like a commentary on the movie. I mean, now,
They're
like
terrified of fans these days.
Yeah, and like we've been doing, like, you guys have been, we've all been creating online content for so long, and it's so common now to see studios put together their own team of commentators, but it just does not compare to like what you can get from, you know, letting the fans do what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we're gonna. Is there anything else? Sorry. There's the Pam. You wrote down the tour stop in SF. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh no, I think Andrew covered it. Like, that's the only stop that I did. But yeah, I just, like, when I think about that time, like, that's kind of the memory that sticks out for me, because I'd never done anything like that. And also, that was the. I would go to that Borders to kill time in between classes because it was right next to my school. So it was just like really surreal for me to be like, then, you know, doing an episode of Imprint at the store that I was just at all the time. Right, exactly.
Yeah. I had one of those in near my college too, and I would always be in that Barnes and Noble because it was just like right near my dorm.
Yeah, it's like a little full circle moment.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're time to move into the best scene in the Twilight series books. And I guess I'll kick us off here, just so we're going in order. But my favorite scene in all of the Twilight books is in my favorite book of all of the Twilight books, which is, like, a lot of people hate Breaking Dawn, but I fucking love Breaking Dawn.
Own it. Lean in.
And this is like the copy I read a million times. The whole jacket is taped together. You can't see it. People listening, I'm sorry, but it's on the visual version. So the chapter that I read over and over and over and over and over and over and over again was when Bella woke up and was a vampire. And all the way through to when they have sex in the new house that Esme made them was my favorite part. Because it was like, finally, like, Bella's been begging Edward all this time to first, like, kiss her and then have sex with her and then, like, turn her into a vampire, and it all happens. And I remember, like, in the first few pages, she's like, wow, kissing is so different now.
You were like, gold. This is gold.
This is it. And just, like, seeing through a vampire's eyes after kind of, you know, witnessing it for so long through Bella's eyes and then finally experiencing it, it was like we all got to become a Stephenie Meyer vampire. And it was so cool. She talks about, like, the dust motes in the air being, like, the most beautiful thing she's ever seen when she first wakes up. She's like, oh, I can see a new color I don't even have a name for. I mean, those kinds of details really made it pop out for me, like, wow, this is, like, the coolest thing ever. It's so visceral. And then seeing her run and then, like, race, and then she does the thing with Emmett, like the arm wrestling.
Oh, the arm wrestling scene. I love that scene.
Yes. Oh, and she hugs Edward and says I love you, like, right after she wakes up, and he's like, ow, and she's like, oh my god, I just made Edward say ow. Like, what a gem. Yeah, so it was like everything finally coming to fruition for me, and it kind of followed my least favorite chapter of all time, which is when he injects her with the venom. I will never forget reading that scene. I don't know if you remember, but, like, it goes into detail about feeling it, like, go through her system and, like, turn her to fire. And I was reading this on a beach with a close friend at the time and her whole family, and I started to feel like, because I'm a fainter, I faint, like, with, like, disease and blood stuff, and, like, I'm sitting on the beach reading a book, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh god, I'm gonna faint. I started, like, crawling on the beach trying to get to the water, and her whole family's watching me.
Oh my god.
They're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I can't, the book.
Breaking Dawn is what's wrong with me.
Breaking me.
I'm gonna faint. I had, like, my head in the sand, like, like an ostrich. It was, oh my God, Naomi said she fainted watching Breaking Dawn Part 1 in the movie theater when he was eating her stomach because that's when I had to look away.
They went full horror movie with Breaking Dawn
really
Part
did.
1, and I don't think it would have worked if they hadn't really
It was
leaned
not
into
her
it.
stomach. He wasn't eating her legit vagina. He was
No,
going
he was
in like
giving her a C-section. Yeah.
The baby didn't come out of her. He had to bite it out of her stomach. Well, no. The part that like was so sickening was when she like falls and then everything breaks in her body. That was the scene.
That
I'm
part didn't
greatly
bother me as much.
enjoying watching Christine lose it right now.
I was just picturing him like literally eating her vagina to create a hole that was big enough.
That
to
sounds
get the baby
awful.
out.
Oh man, I'm gonna pass out in a moment.
Oh
my head hurts.
Yeah, I think that made the high of the next scene.
Yes.
When she woke up even better because it was so low.
Oh my god.
All right, Natasha, what was your? What do you think is the best scene in the Twilight series?
I just said JJ says the body horror just wasn't needed. But it was.
I kind of liked it. Honestly, in retrospect, I like it. She went hard.
Okay, this was difficult because like sad girl me wanted to put like all of New Moon. It's like I was like I hated New Moon when I first read it, and those are like the most visceral memories of me reading the books, 15 years ago. But I was also remembering back to the eclipse tent scene. Because I remember I used to, because Stephanie, not most books don't have this anymore, where they have the chapters written out in the table of contents. And so I remember opening up the book and then reading the chapters. And
Spoiling yourself.
I know, but it's fine. And I was very excited. I was trying to decide, should I put the leg hitch scene? Because that was like the first time we got an explicit sexual thing happen in the book. For my 14-year-old eyes, yes.
Oh, no, yeah.
And then I remembered the tent scene and how there was just like burr, and then like Bella just like chittering and chattering through the whole thing, and how much like Edward and Jacob absolutely hated each other in that moment. And I was just like, oh, I'm so angry because Edward can't be the one to help her and save her. Like only Jacob's warmth can help her. And I was so frustrated, but it also was so funny.
It was like a perfect sexual tension scene.
Yes.
They were all stuck in this little fucking tent together, sitting next to each other.
It was so great, like the way that like Stephanie set that whole thing up, because it just makes so much sense.
Didn't he have a line where he's like, I'm hotter?
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yep. That's a thing.
And then I mean,
Edward was just sitting there like,
Quick
then
sidebar.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't remember what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Sidebar.
I just want to say I really loved the Eclipse movie.
Oh,
Having
yeah.
David Slade direct it, it just suddenly got so much darker and felt like, I don't know, coming out of New Moon, which was, I thought, a really bad movie. It like I could take Twilight like seriously with Eclipse. It took itself seriously and it worked, I thought. I just loved it. The change in tone. Yeah.
I think you're forgetting the beauty of New Moon is that it was self-aware and didn't take itself serious.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
If you watch it now, it's so funny. I didn't think it was that good back then. Now, I'm like, this is hysterical because they all know exactly how we're reacting.
Yeah. Maybe I need to rewatch all these again. But yeah, it was just Eclipse felt so refreshing coming out of New Moon.
Abby says the Eclipse wigs ruined the film. It made it unwatchable. And I agree. Those
I
wigs...
think it's just because everyone was pointing it out.
They were no, I'm a wig person, so I know when there's bad hair. And Carlisle has the worst hair. I think Rosalie actually didn't have as bad as hair. Is that when does Rosalie?
It's when they finally gave her a wig because she was dyeing her hair and her hair was so dark.
They gave her a wig in New Moon.
In New Moon,
and then Bella had to wear. Yes, Kristen had to wear.
Oh, I thought we were talking
wig.
about New Moon.
Oh, that was a bad wig. Yeah.
The bad wig was New Moon. And
the
then
internet had a field day making fun of that wig.
Yeah.
I remember being at Comic-Con for New Moon, and Kristen had she had cut her hair for Joan Jett, and I was like, oh no, does this mean that she's gonna have to wear a wig for Eclipse?
Tragedy. This never happens in Hollywood.
Well, it's so funny because you would think that if anything,
Wow.
you would want the wig for Joan Jett because it's such an edgy hairstyle, and not for.
Kristen probably wanted to go.
Yeah,
for
she
it.
probably did, and props to her. I think that looking back on it now, we all can kind of realize that the budget all went to the wolves and making them look better, and so that they probably didn't have enough money for a good wig. That's my theory anyway.
Yeah.
Seems kind of important for the lead character, but
I probably thought it was just good enough.
There are great wigs out there. All of the elves in Lord of the Rings have $30,000 wigs, and they're amazing. So
$30,000 wigs?
yeah,
Those exist?
yes they do.
wow.
They're all handmade,
That's a lot of
Real
money for
hair, right?
real hair, extra long. All right.
Okay.
So
And-
mine is a little more abstract because it's hard for me, admittedly, to remember the books. I read them maybe twice, and then I didn't do any rereads. But this is inspiring me to do one. But the backstories in the novels on a whole, thinking about Alice's backstory, I mean, they're all really tragic, but they add a lot of depth to the characters. And it's just interesting to see how the vampire characters had to deal with the humans when they were coming into their own, so to speak. So I just really appreciated that because people were often making fun of Twilight or saying the story's trash. If you weren't a fan, this is what you were saying. But there was depth to these stories, and I think the backstories were a big part of that. So that just has to be my pick.
Even the fans would turn around and be like, never mind, this is trash. I hate it now. I'd be like, excuse me, you got on board with this 6 months ago, please.
When reading Breaking Dawn, maybe they would say this.
No, it was after the first movie when they're like, that wasn't good. This is all trash. Because, the general public, they would cave to everyone wanting to hate on teenage girls and being like, oh, never mind. I'm too mature for this. And I was like, you're a freshman in college.
Yeah, what do you know?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone was hating on Twilight. So then we all, I don't know. I feel I threw up a defense where I would make fun of Twilight, but also love it and be like, see, we're self-aware, bitch.
Yeah, and I mean there is room for that nuance if you want, but everybody just runs off to one side or the other, as I say about so many things online these days. But I also just wanted to give a shout out to the fake out in Breaking Dawn Part 2, the movie, obviously, in which you're briefly led to believe all the Cullens are about to die. Because I still remember being in the theater
Spoilers.
I remember being in a theater. I think it was a fan site screening or something like that. So, of course, it's only the most passionate people in the theater. And when that started to happen, people were screaming in the movie theater. And I was like, holy shit, they're going there. I can't believe they're just going to kill off everybody. And then, of course, within a few seconds, you realize it's not actually happening. But wow, was that a surprise?
Yeah, and they go longer than a few seconds, which is why it's so great. It keeps going, and everyone keeps screaming and crying for a full 3 minutes.
Was
and
it
it's
that
amazing.
long? Oh my
It was
God.
long.
It is so much longer
It
than
was
you think it is. Yeah,
7
and that's why
minutes,
it was so
7 or
good.
10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a full battle,
Right.
And it's in the
Okay.
movies, it's the best scene. I
Yeah.
definitely did.
Okay, yeah. I guess I'm just thinking more about the part of when people actually start dying. I don't know. I need to rewatch it clearly.
I think it
But
starts
man,
with Carlisle, and so that's
Yeah,
probably
his
why
head.
it's fresh in your
Yeah.
brain. Yeah, but
It
to
was
be
insane.
fair, none of that is in the book. And I think I remember when Breaking Dawn came out, the biggest criticism people really had about it is that it felt anticlimactic because of how things are tied up. So that's probably one of the few instances where, a scene plays out better in the movie than it does in the books, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, it is a good change because you need that moment for the movie.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually change the lore, or anything major.
Yeah, everyone's major complaint with the book was that there was no battle. And it was like, the battle was in Bella's mind, okay? She was extending her power, and it was really hard. And maybe you didn't get it. But
the battle is from within.
It is. But it was so wonderful to switch that up for everyone. Because I love when they do that in a good way in an adaptation. Because it sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck, but it kind of is a bummer when you know exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and it looks exactly the same way. And this was like, threw us all for a loop.
Totally.
Abby says that the fake out broke her. She was 13 and the broke part never came back.
Oh. You were one of those people screaming in the theater.
Right.
No.
It's really one of those, you can't hurt me. I survived the Breaking Dawn battle.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, but I was freaking out too. All right. Pam.
Yes.
Favorite.
I picked something a lot more wholesome than the fake out battle. And I just picked the classic, how old are you, 17? How long have you been 17? A while scene from Twilight. I remember just kicking my feet reading this in the middle of the night because I stayed up all night reading Twilight as soon as I started it the first time. And yeah, that one just lives in my head rent free still. I don't think I feel unfortunately it's been spoofed to an inch of its life at this point with the movies having come out and stuff. But I still think that it plays fantastic in the books. And that's really when the story starts picking up too. At that point you've passed the point of no return and you just can't stop reading.
Yes, for sure. I mean, that's when all of a sudden he just shows up because he was stalking her. It's like, get in the car. In the book, the whole conversation happens in the car, for anyone who doesn't remember, not in the forest with swooping cameras circling them. It's much not calmer conversation, but he doesn't say say it. It's not. It's like that iconic scene in Goblet of Fire when he screams, and it's it doesn't happen like that in the book. He's say it out loud. I feel it's very quiet.
Iconic.
But that is definitely I think, most quotable Twilight quote. I say it all the time by accident.
Yeah.
My brother will be I was 17. I was like, how long were you 17? I just
a year?
He doesn't get the reference at all. He's just I think I was 17 for a little bit then.
Well, maybe 17 is a state of mind.
I definitely do
Daddy.
say it out loud.
Right, exactly. Just like Daddy.
Yeah, say it out loud also all the time.
My most quoted line is what Kaya says to Aro, and my brother and I always, we always say this to each other. We're like, "What are you gonna do, Aro?" If we're trying to pick out food or something, that's what we say to each other.
That's so funny. Do you want to know what mine is? Mine is La Push, baby. It's La Push.
Yes. How you liking the rain, girl?
That one too.
That's me all month.
I quote that one a lot. Yeah, exactly.
This is a deep cut, but since we're on this type of subject, there was a featurette where Catherine Hardwicke goes, "Welcome to Twilight."
Yes.
She's holding up the peace signs or something on video. I still do that one. Welcome to. She's doing Valley Girl. Welcome to Twilight.
I watched that so many times.
One of my favorites.
I would always quote from the commentary of Rob saying "God and burger" instead of "veggie burger." I don't know.
God.
Such random shit.
Great.
Deep
now,
cuts.
the next restaurant that I go to and I get a veggie burger, I'm going to say, "I'd like the garden burger, please."
Garden burger, please.
Oh my god. Natasha, did you have something else you were to say?
No, I'm just very excited to get to this next section.
All right, I'm moving on to the next section. Okay, So they're remaking Twilight, and no one is available to play.
No one.
Anyone. Yeah, you're gonna have to convince them after your cast. So you have to play a main character, and I'm imagining like there's a new society on like Mars or something, and they've never seen Twilight before, and you're the only person that can bring them this snippet of pop culture. So who are you gonna play?
I wasn't expecting that whole premise. That's amazing. We're doing this for Mars.
I'm gonna play Edward Cullen. As we all know, it's one of my dreams. I play him whenever I can.
She does.
In every
Yeah,
video.
we've seen your show's album art. We know. And that album art's amazing. I should have mentioned that way sooner. Incredible. Not just album art, but like all extra shots you took.
Yeah, they're really good.
If you ever sell posters of any of that, let me know. I want it. I'm buying.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of little parody Twilight remakes over the years, and I play both Edward and Bella, but of course my favorite is playing Edward. I have a shirt just dedicated to playing Edward. It's like a white button up that I like put the collar up, and I'm Edward. I'll leave a link to any of those in the description if you guys haven't seen them, because they're my favorite. And my favorite one is called Edward and Bella's First Kiss, and I do their first kiss. I had so much fun.
My favorite is when you play Jacob.
I
in
do
the
like
shower.
that one too. I did the scene in the rain. Yeah. We can't be friends anymore, Bella. Yeah, I'll link those. They're my favorite. But yeah, I'm playing Edward Cullen. Natasha, who are you playing?
Okay, I always play Bella. I don't want to play Bella. She's not very fun. And I'm most like Alice, but like I don't like her haircut, so I want my long hair. So I'm gonna be the bitch, and I'm gonna play Rosalie because I feel like I can play a good bitch, and that would just be really fun. And the guy playing Emmett will be my husband.
Oh, that's why you're picking Rosalie.
No, I'm picking Rosalie because I want to be a blonde. That's fun.
Okay, so you're gonna wear a wig. That's really
Yes.
long.
Yes.
All right. Andrew, who are you playing?
I want to play Jessica, a character I don't think we've brought up yet, because I want to be gossipy Anna Kendrick in the movies.
She has a great role in the movies, probably because of her Anna Kendrickness. They like built it out.
Yeah, and that was before she blew up. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah.
She wasn't on my radar prior to Twilight. And also, shout out to her tweet a few years ago where she was like, "I completely forgot that I appeared in Twilight." Do you remember that?
Yes.
That's
So
really
freaking
funny.
good.
Emily says, "Tell the whole story from Jessica's perspective."
Jessica's perspective.
Oh my god.
I would love that. Please.
It'd be like a clueless version of Twilight.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Pam, who are you playing?
I picked Esme because I know myself and I know I'm the mom friend. Specifically the did you pack a snack? Are you staying hydrated? Are you feeling better mom friend? And so I feel like it fits. Also, it's very low pressure. So to your point about why Twilight is being made, I could also be, a consultant on this remake in addition to playing the very small role of Esme.
Amazing.
Oh my god. All right, so now you've casted yourself, and you're the only one who can bring this to life and convince other people to be in the movie with you. And obviously, they have to be professional actors because you want to have the best for Mars. You need them to like get a taste of what it was like on Earth during Twilight. You have to cast the roles opposite of you. So I'll open here what my movie is going to look like. So I'm going to have Dylan O'Brien play my Bella. Obviously, I need... Obviously, this is going to be my way of meeting all the actors that I've always wanted to work with.
Oh, that's what you're doing here. Okay. Got it. Understood.
And I think it would be a fun time. So Dylan O'Brien's going to play Bella. I'm going to bring on Taylor Swift, obviously. She's going to play both Jessica and Angela and just change out her wig. Natasha, you can pick the wig so that it looks good.
Thank you.
But she has a lot of experience with this. I don't know if you've seen You Belong With Me, but she plays 2 different versions of herself.
So many people didn't know that she was the same person.
I think it was Abby. Abby didn't know. Abby didn't know that Taylor Swift was playing both people in You Belong With Me, the music video. But she is. She's very good at it. And so she's going to play Jessica. That's how I'm going to get either Dylan or Taylor through each other. And then I'm going to cast Mike, and he's going to be Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is going to, I'm going to have like a whole support team for Taylor so she doesn't leave and get bored. Because she's really good friends with Ryan Reynolds. And we all know I love Ryan Reynolds, and he'll get to be, I mean, if Edward, we'll get some scenes together when he and Mike and Edward fight, you know? I'll get to talk to Ryan. And then Mindy Kaling's going to play Alice.
Oh.
Yeah. She has great outfits. I don't know if y'all follow her on Instagram, but she's been killing it for like the last 2 years with the fashion. So she's going to bring that to the cast. And then Harry Styles is going to play Jasper, which I think is a great fit. Yeah, because he can rock a lot of different looks, so he can have a different one for each installment of the movie to match the original Jasper, you know, with the hair. And he doesn't have many lines because Harry's great, but I don't know. He's not like an acting connoisseur. I'm gonna bring on Sydney Sweeney as Rosalie because she's like what I imagined as Rosalie. And Brad Pitt is going to play her love interest, Emmett, because I had to get the Brad.
Wow, that age gap.
In my cast.
Well,
it really is.
Wouldn't Blake Lively fit better in here?
I originally had her in here casted as Charlie, but I've changed it because I decided I had to get Brad, and he could only play Emmett. And then Mike Carlisle is going to be Will Smith, because I feel like he really can bring a dad vibe to that role that Peter Fasinelli just didn't bring for me. He just like
you're not wrong.
He's just like a handsome man. I was like, there's no way anyone believes you're these people's father. And then Awkwafina is gonna be Esme because she's gonna bring like a quirkiness to the role that we don't really have the original Esme. Yeah, and then Jacob will be played by Taylor Lautner. And Jennifer Coolidge will play Charlie. And then the other Taylor Lautner will play Renesmee.
Wow.
You know, his wife. Her name's also Taylor
I was confused
Lautner.
for a second. Got it.
Me too. I thought this was like a Taylor Swift thing, but you're right. They're both named Taylor Lautner.
Yeah, and
That's
I'll
so
just confess
funny.
right now, I was following Taylor Lautner, the actor, on Instagram, and then I found out he was marrying Taylor Lautner, and it was a woman. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out.
Well, her name was just Taylor at first. Her name wasn't actually Taylor Lautner. Like, he didn't marry
but it was still Taylor.
He loves
still
his-
Taylor.
He loves
And a
his
woman,
Taylors,
so I was out.
right? Because he also dated
he
Taylor
likes to
Swift.
date Taylors.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have Taylor and him on the set together, too. So we'll get to have them have, like, a nice reunion. We're going to have a behind-the-scenes video. Mars is going to love it.
More songs. I can just imagine like Taylor writing an album about this experience.
She would. And, oh, my God, I get to be part of it.
Okay, Christine's cast
Okay.
is very long. Okay, no one else has this long of cast because she was very
know.
into it.
2 a.m. me was thinking that this was
It was her
best idea
personal
I've
wish
ever
list of
had.
people she wants to meet. That's why it was so long. It's a lot of people.
Mine is not a personal wish list.
Wait, I forgot one important one. Hold on. Eric is played by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh my gosh. How did Jennifer Coolidge get in there? Josh says.
Christina just finished binging The White Lotus.
She would be so funny as Charlie.
Wow, bring him in.
These
Could you
colons
imagine her
are trying
loading
to
a
kill me.
shotgun?
Yeah.
she's a policeman. Like she has a police costume. That's just hilarious.
This is too much for a Monday. My jaw hurts.
I know, me too.
Okay, go ahead, Natasha. Walk us through your movie.
Okay. So Edward's going to be played by Adam Driver. And this is...
I think that's great.
I know! This is perfect. He's already
Yes.
brooding.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it as good as me?
I mean, I've seen you play Edward. This is going to be a first for me. And then...
I can't. With Christine, like, just rocking
Flopping
back.
about.
Yeah. I need to stop
I was
looking.
just picturing the lineup of you choosing an Edward, and I'm like standing next to Adam Driver.
It's two very different directions.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Adam Driver.
So I
see
wanted to
it.
put Daisy Ridley in here, but I reframed and I held myself back from my Raylo-ness, okay? And so instead I'm putting Amelia Clark in as Bella. And I think the two of them would be so hilarious together. And I would love to see this duo in some movie, honestly. I think that would be really fun.
A good Gompy Sunshine.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And then for Emmett, obviously, if I'm playing Rosalie, it has to be Henry Cavill is playing Emmett. It just makes the most sense, okay? And I know Pam has Henry down here somewhere, right?
I do.
So.
I do.
Okay, and then Alice is going to be played by Keke Palmer, and I was like, this was amazing for me. I was like, yes, she has the attitude, the spunk. She's just going to bring something different. And then Jasper is going to be played by Regé John Page in Bridgerton. He's the Duke.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he plays very stoic. And
I see that, yeah.
and I think he would be a good Jasper. And then, okay, so I'm taking, instead of Esme, we're going to have Ernest. And the Cullens are going to have gay dads because this just makes the most sense, okay? So
Yes.
Carlisle is going to be played by Luke Evans. And then Ernest, Esme, is going to be played by Jonathan Groff. And Jonathan has this very sweet side, and I feel like he could be, like, the mother figure in this, and then, like, Luke is, like, the Dr. Gaston figure, you know. So,
It could be like a musical.
yes,
Jonathan
exactly.
Groff. Yeah.
This, I
I
don't
was
know,
going to say, you can't have him not sing.
Amelia can sing. Adam, I think, can sing.
Can Henry sing?
I
That
don't
would
know. I
be
don't think I've seen
hilarious.
him.
I don't know why the idea of Henry singing is funny.
He's already powerful enough. He does not
Yeah,
need to
so
be
that's
a
my
good
musical,
singer in addition
Twilight.
to...
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, so I was just thinking, after seeing Christine's list, I was like, okay, this can be as weird as I want. So I just picked a few cast members. I was thinking The Rock could play Edward Cullen. He's tough. He's no nonsense. The Rock wants to be in everything, so I thought that would check out. Idris Elba for Carlisle. Father figure.
Oh.
Again, no nonsense. There's always these rumors about him playing James Bond, so he's in like this like leadership role. So that's what I was kind of thinking there. And then getting back to myself. See, I violated your rules. I'm realizing now, but
You recast
let's
it.
say no, but
Oh, you
I thought
recasted
the rule-
yourself.
Right, yeah, I recasted myself. Maybe I got caught taking a picture on the Twilight set. So I was kicked out. Lady Gaga is now replacing me. And again, just like the gossipy... As Jessica, yeah, thank you. She can do the gossip really well, the gossipy character really well, I think. And then I want to see Emma Watson play Bella. Why?
First Belle and now Bella.
Yeah. I was like, careful, don't say Belle, don't say Belle. Why? I don't know, but it'd be funny to see Emma Watson and The Rock together. And then I want Oprah Winfrey as Esme. I don't know, motherly figure.
That would be fun. I like that.
So it's
Do you
an older
think
cast,
she
but
would say, I like bread? I love bread.
I love vampires. I love vampires. That's
I
what she would say.
love koalas. That's what she would say. 'Cause that's what she would like to eat.
I don't know any of these references. Obviously, I haven't watched enough Oprah.
It's a
The
Weight
bread one was
Watchers
an iconic
commercial.
clip.
What was I going to say? Oh, Lady Gaga. I can't believe I forgot to put her in my cast.
Oh, you really want to meet her, yeah?
I'm going to have to jump onto the set. Audition for Angela.
Can't
Our
wait for your
4
next
separate
album.
Twilight movies happening at once.
Right.
Whose will be best?
One studio is going to get it right. Who will be anyone's guess?
Pam, what is your Mars Twilight going to look like?
All right. So I am casting / reuniting Timothy Chalamet and Saoirse Ronan as Edward and Bella.
Yes.
And the more and more I think about this, I did this for 2 reasons. One, because they have insane chemistry both on and off screen. They play off each other so well. But also, the longer I think about this, the more I've come to the realization that you could cast either of them in either role and it would still work. So I could definitely see Saoirse as Edward and Timothy as Bella, or vice versa. So that's kind of fun. And then to bring in all of the Earthlings that are also up on Mars with us, who have some kind of recollection of Twilight, I'm going to cast Boo Boo Stewart as Jacob because he's old enough now. And I just think that that would be really fun. Bring in, that's how you make the revivals work, right? You bring in like one cameo.
Someone from the first
And
one.
he can be the cameo. And then we're going to cast Pedro Pascal as Charlie because, as we've decided already, he's the internet daddy. So he should also be daddy up on Mars. And then we're gonna right a huge wrong here, and we're gonna add Henry Cavill in as Carlisle because that's what he should have been, and also purely for selfish reasons because I would like to be married to Henry Cavill on screen. Yes. And that's my recap.
We have the same reasons then.
We do. We're very much aligned in our thought process, and I love that for us.
I love Timothy, and oh my gosh, I always forget how to say when I look at her name spelled out. I can't say it.
Yeah.
Is it
Saoirse?
Saoirse. Okay, Saoirse Ronan. Yes. Okay, I forgot. I wanted them together so much in Little Women. I was so upset.
Yes. So they're already like pining.
Redemption.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So we should have like a big screening on Mars with all 4 movies back to back, and then we can have the Martians vote.
Who's directing this?
I'm gonna direct mine.
Oh, I was gonna say you have to bring back Catherine Hardwicke. So she can say, "Welcome to Twilight."
I was going to say, getting back to our discussion. Go ahead.
I'm going to have Bryce Dallas Howard direct mine. She directs all the best Mandalorian episodes anyways.
Ooh. Yeah.
I was going to say, I want to give Chris Weitz another shot, and I'm going to let him direct my...
So
Twilight.
down on Chris Weitz.
Sorry, I just really did not like that movie.
Oh my god. Yeah. I really feel like that needs a rewatch.
Yeah, maybe for me too. Maybe I got to give it another shot.
He did a fine job.
Okay. All right.
Emily says, I just keep picturing each of these Edwards saying, "Hold on tight, Spider Monkey," in each of their personas.
And you know
I
The
just
Rock
think-
would kill that.
Adam Driver saying, "Hold on tight, Spider Monkey."
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Can you like Dylan being saying anything that Bella says? You were over there, and then you were over here.
That is genius casting because you're right. He can pull off like, slightly airheaded Bella.
This is the Styles role. Yes.
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 You would kill it. All right. So that was our Twilight discussion. We're going to move on into what right now. What books have we been reading this week? Natasha, you've been reading Lord of Shadows?
I'm a little burnt out on Mortal Instruments, right, or Shadowhunter books. So not really, but that's the one I'm currently on right now.
All right. Pam, what have you been reading?
I'm reading Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. This is contemporary fiction. It came out, I think, a couple of years ago now. And it's really good. It kind of reminds me a lot of Fleabag because there is a mental health element. So it is both like tragic, but also really funny. So
Nice. Andrew, what are you reading? Are you reading?
Yes. Well, I am reading. I'm not reading fiction right now. I recently read Bono's memoir of U2. I'm a big U2 fan going back a long way. Yeah. I also read, this is a thrill of a book, Where the Water Goes, Life and Death Along the Colorado River, kind of explaining why the West is in a drought. So if you're curious, I mean, it's a very good book. So if you're curious about it, yeah.
I was going to say, is it dry?
It's a little dry. And then actually, the three of you live in California. I am reading right now Made in California, the California-born diners, burger joints, restaurants, and fast food that changed America. Yeah. And it talks about like In-N-Out, Bob's Big Boy, donut shops, stuff like that. I don't know. It's kind of like a fun break for me. I'm fascinated by the history of California. So.
That does sound really fun.
I am not reading anything this week because I've been writing, so let's move right on into TV. What have we all been watching? Pam, you want to kick us off? What have you been watching?
Yes. So like you, I've been watching Daisy Jones and the Six on Prime, and I'm really excited to hear what you think about that. And then, like everyone else, I've also been glued to my screen every Sunday night for The Last of Us.
I'm so sad it's going to be over.
I know.
I know.
Andrew, what are you watching?
I've been watching those two as well. Really enjoying Daisy Jones so far, by the way. And also, I just started binging over the weekend Our Flag Means Death, the gay pirate show.
I love
on
that show.
HBO.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, everyone's been enjoying that, and it's on my to-watch list. I just haven't gotten to it yet. It just feels feels like What We Do in the Shadows, in that I feel like it's going to be like a wild concept that just is.
Well, it's
that,
Taika.
Once you get on board with it,
it's also Taika Waititi.
Yeah, that's what Taika's
so
humor
yeah,
is.
it makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely want to watch that. Natasha, what have you been watching?
Like you guys, Daisy Jones and Last of Us, but I also binged.
Everyone's watching the same thing.
Yes, I also binged Conversations with Friends, and Christine had watched this a couple months ago, and I've been in the high fantasy realm, and I wanted something to bring me down to earth, and that was a very Sally Rooney has she writes good human stories. That's how I can explain it.
Very grounded.
Grounded. This show is about infidelity and awkwardness, and there was a point when the two main characters, which is Joe Alwyn, which is Taylor Swift's boyfriend, and then the girl who's playing like the love interest, are like talking for the first time, and I literally couldn't take it. I was like like it was like that secondhand embarrassment. Like I had to send Christine voice messages to get me through it. I was like, I can't take this show.
I was like, I didn't feel that at all. This is my way to get to know Taylor's boyfriend.
Well, you get to know him a little well. We saw his whole ass. He was having sex. I was like, I feel like I shouldn't see this. Ah!
Because it's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. I felt like a friend, like meeting Taylor Swift's boyfriend for the first time.
And seeing his ass?
Okay, his ass was in it for like a second. I don't even remember this.
Multiple times.
I remember like talking to him and having conversations through the character. But yeah, Conversations with Friends is like the most nothing happens show I've ever watched, but I was so hooked the whole time.
It was really good. I couldn't stop.
It's so good, but nothing really happens except a cheating story. But like, you're rooting for everyone to be happy.
It was a weird feeling. I was okay with it, but it was weird.
Yeah. It's like, it shows just how those stories are more nuanced than like cheater. Duh. Like there's just more going on in every relationship in that story, book, TV show. I've been watching Daisy Jones. I still have half an hour left in the third episode because I've only been letting myself watch it on writing breaks. But I'm really, really enjoying it, and Sam Claflin is killing it, and the Camilla, like in the book, I don't remember getting to know Camilla at all, and they're doing a really good job getting us invested in their relationship, which I'm really happy about. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I agree with that. Sorry.
Mentioned that are you talking about Tim Burton directing Twilight would be interesting? What do you
No, the thing about you said to Camilla, I just wasn't engaging.
Oh, in agreement. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that someone said Tim Burton directing Twilight would be interesting, and I think that would be interesting too.
Yeah.
But like in the Wednesday way, not in the Alice in Wonderland way. Like that would be I don't know, a darker romance, which might be fun. And someone also said that Taylor Swift playing Bella would be funny, and I don't know why I didn't think about this. I could have casted her opposite of me. It would have been like Saturday Night Live.
Could have been your chance to meet her.
Yeah, whole movie. Well, it's okay. She's still in it. It's fine. All right.
It looks like you are the only one who watched movies this week, Christine.
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah.
Wow. I watched so many because they helped me write. So. Okay, well, I watched The Long Shot, which is with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron, and I just ignored that rom-com when it came out because they don't look like you're like, just what is this? What is Seth Rogen doing there with her? But then in our last episode, it was one of, I think, Lauren's favorite rom-coms, so I was like, I guess I have to watch that, and it was fun. It's not my favorite, but it was really fun and cute, and I laughed out loud. Yeah. And then I rewatched You've Got Mail. So different as an adult. Have y'all seen You've Got Mail?
This is one of my favorite rom-coms of all time.
Yes.
So
yes,
good.
Me too. Have you seen it recently?
Yes, I have. I watch this anytime I'm sad, honestly.
Yes. Okay. It made me so happy, but also so emotional throughout the whole thing.
I will say that, like, as an adult, the big speech that Tom Hanks gives her at the end, like, it hits harder as an adult than it ever did. Like, when I watched this movie way too young. But, like, even, like, the end scene makes me cry every time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I was, like, teary. And then when she said goodbye to the shop, that hit a lot harder as an adult than it did before. Like, it was sad, but this was, like, devastating this time around. She has to say goodbye to her shop around the corner, and it's so sad.
Yeah.
And then I watched Picture Perfect, which is a Jennifer Aniston rom-com. I don't know if any of you have watched it, but it was on Netflix for like a million years. I always saw it, but was like, oh, it must be bad. No one ever talks about it. And then Natasha brought it up that I should watch it. And I was like, oh, okay, it's on Netflix. I'll watch it. It's not on Netflix. It's not on any of my million streaming platforms I pay for. So I ended up paying $3.99 to rent the stupid thing. But this movie came out in 1997, and I think the reason that not many people talked about it is that it was like way ahead of its time in terms of, like, she's a very like feminist character. She's all about her job, and then they don't want to promote her because she's not married, and they think she could just like leave the company at any time. So she manipulates the system and starts fake being engaged to somebody that she has a picture with just to get ahead at work. And then she's like also using that to sleep with a guy she thinks is hot at work. And she's like all about her job. And I was like, wow, this is like very cool. I've never seen something from the 90s that was so, I don't know, about a woman advancing and knowing what she wants and work and stuff. Yeah, it was really interesting. And it wasn't like your classic rom-com where you get like all these like happy feelings at the end, but she does get together with the guy that she's fake dating, which also fake dating. I was like, how come I've never heard about this? Has the fake dating trope, which is so fun.
I love a fake dating trope, anything, honestly. That is a god tier trope.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, this actually, I don't know if you've ever seen The Object of My Affection, but this is also Jennifer Aniston, I would say, like, rom-com dramedy that doesn't get talked about enough, and I think it was also made in the 90s, and she stars opposite Paul Rudd in this, and she gets pregnant, and Paul Rudd is her gay best friend, and it basically kind of deals with like the process of her kind of like falling in love with him while he's there for her when she has no one, and how that ends up, you know, changing their relationship and stuff. And it is like, the ending is very bittersweet, but that's kind of another, like, you know, little
not
talked about
classic
Jen
rom-com
Aniston.
that she's
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe she's done something with Paul Rudd, and I've never heard about it.
Mhm.
Like, he was on Friends.
Right?
Somebody mentioned this. Very interesting. I'm going to look that up. What's it called again?
The Object of My Affection.
Okay. Cool. All right. So we're going to move on to our Fuck, Marry, Kill of the week. All right.
Can I just jump in real quick? I was not expecting music there. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the transitions are great.
Yeah.
Today our FML is Edward Cullen, Ed Sheeran, or a ghost.
What ghost?
Yeah,
It's
is it
just
a
a
cute
ghost.
ghost?
It's like a sheet with eyes.
Oh, okay. Thank
Oh,
you.
so it's kinda
That helps.
I couldn't think of another.
Natasha's like,
edit to
what
it, yeah.
the F?
I just don't understand.
Shifting
Of course, we're gonna
eyes.
kill the ghost. We're gonna kill the ghost. Everyone's gonna kill the ghost. So our
Not
only options is
necessarily. Some people hate Edward.
unless you're a
Cullen.
monster fucker.
What do you mean? He's just a ghost. It was a person once.
That's a
A
ghost.
monster fucker.
Okay, let me get things started because it is the end of the episode. I'm probably going to upset listeners, but it's the end of the episode, so okay. I'm killing Ed Sheeran. I do not like Ed Sheeran. I'm sorry. He's got to go. I'm out with him. Edward Cullen, I'm going to marry him. That's my boy. I was Team Jacob, but I can evolve on that. And then I'm going to fuck the ghost. That sounds fun. Sorry, this was really easy for me.
I knew
Sorry,
some
Ed
people
Sheeran
would
fans.
pick the ghost.
Oh no. Okay, I'm
What
gonna
about you.
kill the ghost because that doesn't make sense to me.
He's already dead.
Then I'm gonna
So is
banish
Edward.
him. I'm gonna marry Edward Cullen because, of course, that was my
Poor
childhood
Ed
dream.
Sheeran today.
Well, no, I'm gonna kiss Ed Sheeran. So there, he gets a kiss.
Okay.
Oh
What about
fuck!
you, Pam?
Sorry. Wow, he
What?
gets more than a kiss. I forgot. Mary. We always switch off
We
between
alternate
kiss,
between
marry, kill.
Marry, Kiss, Cliff, and fuck, Marry,
Oh.
Kill.
Oh,
yeah,
got it,
Just
yeah.
one doesn't sound as harsh.
Okay, Pam, what are you doing?
My answers are actually like perfectly aligned with Natasha's. So that's what I would do too.
So you're marrying Edward,
Yeah, and
killing the ghost.
I'm fucking Ed, and it's fine. We're good with that.
This poor ghost was already
Well,
dead.
he's
and is
already
getting
dead.
double dead.
That's the whole thing. He's already dead, and
But
maybe
he-
like killing for a ghost is just letting them move on and helping with their unfinished business. So it's a happy ending for the ghost.
Yeah.
He used all this energy to come see you.
Right, and I'm helping him before sending him on into the great beyond.
Emily says, I mean, at least the ghost would have a top sheet. He brings his own.
Yeah, but we don't know where that sheet's been.
Yeah, if you could take it off of his head, I don't know if that works. All right, so I'm torn, but I guess I would. I guess I'm gonna have to marry Edward Cullen because it would go against everything in me to delete him, and I think I might. I guess. I don't want to fuck either of them, but I guess I would pick the ghost too. But like, I would kiss Ed Sheeran, but then push him off the cliff.
Before or
do
after
that?
he
Does that-
introduces you to Taylor Swift?
After he introduces me to Taylor Swift.
Savage.
Oh my gosh.
He's happily married, and I don't want to upset that.
That's why you're not going to marry him. So it all works out in the end.
I mean, okay. Interesting.
But I just I feel like the ghost's name is also Ed, just to go. That doesn't make any difference for anybody, but for me, his name is Ed to go with theme.
Wow,
The theme
okay.
is Edwards.
Oh,
Goodbye,
okay.
Ed.
That's cute.
All right, y'all. So that was our show today. What a time. Oh, Abby says, what if the ghost was Cedric Diggory? I like that.
Wow.
And
then
definitely
you have
fucking the
2
ghost.
Eds and 2 Robs.
Yes.
Hey.
That works nicely. That's a great suggestion. Nicole said, is Patrick Swayze the ghost? Yeah. So, all right. That was our show. It was a time. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This was great. It was really cool hearing all your Twilight times.
I know.
It was so
Thanks for
much fun
having
talking
us.
about
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. The links to all of Andrew and Pam's socials are in the description. Do you want to tell us where they can find y'all?
Yeah, I don't use social media crazy a lot, but I'm Sims on Twitter, Andrew Sims on Instagram, and then the podcast, of course, millennialshow.com, which Pam is on too with our friend Laura, and then mugglecast.com for the Harry Potter podcast.
And I'm Pamela Gokobachi everywhere, so have fun spelling that, except for on TikTok. I think on TikTok I'm _ Pamela G to make it easier, and I guess I didn't want to streamline that day, so that's fun.
Cool. Well, those will be in the description. We are those 4 King fangirls. If you haven't yet, please make sure you're following us in your favorite podcast app. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. We are about to go record Fangirl Tea Time, which is available through our Patreon. The link to that is also in the show notes. Our show is edited by Jake Needham, Alex Polis, with music by Cole Jenkins and vocals by Heather Traska. I'm Christine.
I'm Natasha.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Pamela.
We'll see you next time, y'all. Goodbye.
Bye.
See, now waving does work because we had the visual version.